of women, children and persons with disabilities, Steve Letsike, for an important conversation because the department concluded the adolescent pregnancy indaba, which sought to look at the alarming increase of adolescent pregnancies in the country. What are the stats that we're talking about? In the last financial year, over 100,000 girls between the ages of 10 and 19 years old gave birth. Our Deputy Minister joins us now. Minister, thanks so much for chatting to the Weekend Report. Certainly a very important conversation, but I just feel it's one that we continue to have every single year. Have we gotten to a point where we've actually been able to identify clearly and succinctly what are the drivers behind this crisis?
Thank you so much. Good morning to you and to the viewers of Newzroom. Indeed, the statistics that you've quoted, 117,000 girls have given birth in the last year, and these are age group 10 to 19 years. We are seeing quite a number of issues. This is a painful truth that we are confronting as South Africa, because these are not just merely pregnancies, they are a violation, statutory rape, and quite a number of issues that includes inequality, violence, and generational trauma. So indeed, we have called all different departments together. Our mandate as a coordinating mechanism of a department bringing social development, health, basic education, justice, and the police. And we also met with civil society, academics, parents, and so many other groups, including young people themselves, to really get to a proper coordinated effort. So we looked at evidence, we looked at the programs, what is working, what is not working, but indeed, the issue of crisis of unplanned coerced pregnancies is power imbalances, economic challenges, but it exacerbates HIV infection, but also we see the very element of gender-based violence, which was classified as a crisis in our country. So we know what is happening, but we also know what we need to be doing. And this is why we're saying a much coordinated, coherent, consistent plan will help us to coordinate better as government in breaking this intersection of health risk, social risk, and structural challenge.
What are the immediate interventions that we're going to be seeing implemented so that we can actually see the needle moving in the next financial year?
So one of the things that we are putting together, because you'll recall this is a roadmap, the discussions is going to help us put together that triple threat addressing of a strategy. But some of the interventions speaks to immediate dealing with the issue of reporting. The reporting of young people who would have been statutory raped or who would have interacted. We need to know who impregnated them, because these young people are not impregnating themselves. But secondly, the heart of the strategy is the prevention effort, paying attention to family support, paying attention to men, in order to prevent these pregnancies. But also most biggest element is reinforcing the comprehensive sexuality education so that young people have got a better knowledge to make informed decisions, to understand their bodies, but also to know that they've got the right kind of information and support to take the right decisions in their development. But much, much more, it's about access to appropriate and affirmative services. The contraceptives and sexual reproductive health and rights services, which are available in health centers, in youth-friendly zones, but also in school health program that is being implemented. So those are the efforts that we're going to upscale for that matter.
Do we not need to be looking at life orientation? In preparation for this interview, I went and I looked at the outline for the CAPS curriculum. The first mention of pregnancy in the outline was at grade 9. I mean, that's 14 years old. There's no mention of consent or contraception in the curriculum for grades 7 to 9. But the concept of understanding sexuality is raised in grade 8. Is there not an opportunity for us to be able to really look at what we're actually trying to teach our children around comprehensive sexual education? Because that is, of course, the ambit of a basic education.
No, indeed. I mean, we have seen it because evidence does speak to the structural inequality in schooling. some schools have been implementing comprehensive sexuality education, and some schools have supportive teachers and others are silent on the topic. So we cannot accept a curricula that is not implemented effectively, because it does disadvantage young people, the teachers, and the entire ecosystem that supports young people. Stigma amongst young people, but also how we harbor teachers who abuse learners. So we definitely know what those issues are, but the life orientation subject is one critical subject that helps us to deal with the issue of supporting learners and as well as their development. And we've seen a backlash from faith-based organizations, from communities who don't understand what comprehensive sexuality education, because people want to just reduce it to sex, but yet it's not just about sex, but it's about education, young people's development. It's about cognitive understanding and so forth. So we really need to actually expand, ensure that the life orientation is implemented effectively, but it's also age appropriate and where we start early in terms of education for young people as well.
Deputy Minister, there's so much to unpack here, and the statutory rape question certainly is a broader issue, because it is illegal for a child under the age of 12 to be having sexual relations. Between 12 and 15 years old, there's a very small band which makes it legal, and only after 16 years old can somebody actually legally consent to having sex. But this falls under the greater net of gender-based violence in South Africa. But certainly so many issues to unpack. Unfortunately, we just don't have time to do it all in this short window. But thanks for putting it on the agenda with us, Ndaba, and we really do hope that very comprehensive things actually come from this, the resolutions, and we actually see some movements happening when it comes to teenage pregnancy. That is our Deputy Minister of Women, Children and People with Disabilities, Steve Letsike.